So in case you haven't heard, Reason announced the update for Reason 14 a few days ago. I wanted to wait a few days before I made a video because I knew there'd be a little bit more information. The new information that did come out is not too much different from what they initially announced. This update looks incredible. There's been a lot of hate online for this update that I've seen, which I don't understand. I mean, there's been a lot of people that have been very excited as well, but this update has been so long overdue. I've been wanting to work exclusively in the sequencer for years. I've always found it pretty cumbersome to toggle between the rack, the mixer, and the sequencer. I mean, for example, take Pro Tools. When I'm working in Pro Tools, I don't even use the mix window anymore. I really just stay in the edit window because I can access all inserts, all sends, all my plugins, all mixer controls really from the edit window or from the main window. I don't know if it's called the edit window in Pro Tools. I think it is. But the fact that you can really control everything in the sequencer is amazing. I am very happy about this. Very happy. So you can get all this information on the website. I'm just going to go over what they released the other day. So the first thing is they call the sequencer now the track panel. The big update here is when you click on a track in the sequencer, on the left, you see basically a mixer track from top to bottom. You can see your plugin, then all your inserts, and the sends. Also, you have your mixer controls underneath that. So you can do everything you can do on the mixer for each individual track right in the sequencer. This is dope. I will say, I do hope at some point, and I don't think that they're going to have this in this version, I think it would be really dope to have something like the Regroove mixer, but have the actual mixer pop up on the bottom. Just the mixer controls, not the sends, not the inserts. Almost like a quick view for the mixer. That might be wishful thinking for now, but even what I'm seeing now looks amazing, so I don't want to go too crazy. Being able to stay in this window for the entirety of, at least when I'm producing, is such a game changer. It's been the one thing that has been bothering me for years on end when I see other DAWs, and you really don't have to bounce between windows too much. I know in Ableton, you can pretty much stay in the main window, and if you want to access, you know, your inserts on any given track, you can see it right in the bottom. And like I said, with Pro Tools, it makes it real easy. But with Reason, not only was it hard to do that, they had 3 different sections. You know, they had obviously the rack, the mixer, and the sequencer. And if you're in the sequencer, you just can't control certain things at all. You can control a lot of the mixer channels through the rack itself, but I never really like doing that. And again, just putting everything pretty much right in the sequencer. And then when you click on a track, a rack on the right opens, looks lovely. From what I remember, I started using Reason on version 2, and it was very basic back then. I didn't use 1. I think 5 was the big update that you can edit audio. It might have been a little bit after that. I'm not quite sure, but I remember having the ability to have audio in the sequencer was also a big update at the time. And then obviously the VST update was big. And then the move to VST3 was also very big because when they just had the VST capabilities, it was really slow. I really barely even used them at that point because I didn't have a powerful enough computer. And I would say since the update to being able to use VST3s, every update after that was kind of incremental. I mean, you got some decent devices, but yeah, man, this update to the sequencer is everything. Like I just, the fact that you can really access everything for each channel, top to bottom, it's going to make everything so much quicker. Very excited. Next up is track folders. This is something that Avid introduced with Pro Tools not that long ago. I didn't think I'd really utilize it the way that I do now, but it is very handy to clean up your sequencer in a way where you don't necessarily have to, you know, minimize or make certain channels smaller than others. You can just put them right in a folder. So it really helps with cleanup. I'm a fan of this as well. It looks like they're doing some changes to the clips as well, where you can, you know, copy and paste a clip many times, make changes in one of the clips, and it goes to all of the other clips. Another small detail, but I think is very important, is the way that you change the velocity of MIDI notes. It's always been a pain because you had to select the pencil tool and kind of draw it to where you want to, where now it looks like there's nodes almost on all of the MIDI notes, and it just looks much easier to manage. And this is very long overdue as well. So that's another feature that is pretty slick. The fact that they're turning everything dark in dark mode is also really cool. The mixer staying white when you're in dark mode, I always thought that was weird. I don't know why they didn't change that before. So that's a nice update as well. I always work in dark mode. It also looks like the colors within the sequencer and the clips have expanded, or you can change them in different ways that you couldn't before. So everything does look really smooth, you know, uniform throughout while you're in dark mode. Another good feature. And you know, that's just visual, but this next section is interesting too. Automatic tempo detection on your import of audio files. It looks like it's pretty seamless. I know when I load audio files, if I'm sampling something, the way that Reason detects the tempo is a little wonky. So I'm hoping this is a different way to kind of make that a little bit easier, but that's probably not going to affect me too much. They also talk about MIDI note chase, keeping everything moving. I'm not quite sure what that is as well based on what I'm seeing here. So I'm just going to let that go for now. So last but not least is the successor to the RV7000, and they're calling it the RV9 reverb station. It looks slick. The RV7000 is a very old device. I think Matthias, I forget his name, he speaks on it in his post on the website as well, that it's very old, which it is. It does a good job. It has some good presets. I think it sounds good, but you know, there's so many other third-party options that I really would use over that. Another great thing about this is when you're using native plugins to the software you're using, it's almost always going to run better. In fact, it probably always will run better, especially reverbs, because they're very DSP heavy. They need a lot of processing power. So when you're using a third-party reverb plugin especially, it could really drain the session. So to have this, to have more features, to have a built-in EQ, really, really dope. I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to definitely be added into my workflow. I'm definitely going to give it a try, and I think I will like it. I do use some third-party reverbs right now that I really love, but always willing to try something out, especially if it's native to Reason itself. Now, a few more things that I really hope that they do add eventually. They're small, but I still hope that they do. The browser, I know that they changed it because a lot of people were complaining about it, and I think it was pretty justified. The browser update initially with 13 was really strange. I was not a huge fan of it. They updated the way that it looks in the UI and the way that you can kind of put it to the side a little bit easier, which I thought was a good update. The older way that you would favorite plugins were a little smoother to look at and to manage, in my opinion. When you favorited something, you could make a name for each category, EQ, compressor, reverb on the left, and then you click on that and then you can see them all. You can do that now the way that they changed the browser, so you can favorite something and then it's within like a tagged panel and you can see everything that you've tagged. It's a little cumbersome that way. I'm hoping they bring back the old way. It's just a little bit easier to navigate, especially when they give you the view of all of the plugins on the left. There's a lot going on visually, so anything that can make it as seamless as possible, especially when you're grabbing plugins, I think is a huge plus. So I do hope they bring that back. Not sure if they're going to do that or not. But the fact that the rack is going to be really just this new view, from everything I'm seeing in these videos, I don't even know if you're going to have an option to go back to the rack as you once saw it. I wouldn't even go back to that way of working at all. The way I'm seeing this now is going to make everything much faster. A few more things that I do hope they make in the future. I know this is probably not coming anytime soon, but maybe it is. I think they're long overdue to have a very, very, very good, updated, modern EQ with dynamic controls. They do have an EQ within the SSL mixer panel if you do want to utilize that. I don't use that. I don't think it's a great EQ. I mean, it does the job for very basic things. Sometimes I use it to automate filters high and low, like in the beginning of a song, and I don't have to do that like on the EQ that I have on the insert. So sometimes I utilize that, but I think if they had a really good standalone with dynamic controls, mid-side processing, all that, huge plus if they did that. Another thing too is an updated compressor. The M-Class compressor does the job. Sounds good. I've been using it for a while. And obviously they have the master bus compressor that you can use on the channels as well. That's also dope, you know, an SSL style. Also sounds good. So the EQ and compressor, if they had two modern versions, the EQ with dynamic controls, I mean, even with the compressor, they can really go all out and just do an all-in-one. You can use it as a bus compressor. You can switch between, you know, FET, VCA, Opto, all the styles. You can use it for buses, for vocals, for everything. So I really wish they do add that. And if they do that, they might be untouchable. But that's going to wrap that up. Let me know what you think in the comments. I am extremely excited for this update. Long overdue. This updated sequencer is a game changer for me, and I hope it is for you too. Until next time, drop a comment and consider potentially subscribing and liking the video. I also have a newsletter that you can sign up for in the comments. I send it out once a month. And check out my website too if you have a chance, www.abtheaudicrat.com. Peace.